What's up, guys?
How impressive were you with Marquis Siegel?
He did a really nice job. He came in, didn't skip a beat. Look, Marquise can be a really good football player in this league. After the Rams game, felt like he needed to take a step back and just kind of absorb a little bit more. And now he's getting his opportunity. And obviously, first game went pretty good.
Your rookie defensive tackles have made some strides over the last month or so. What did you see from those guys, particularly in the run game?
They're the biggest thing is they're learning in terms of the different blocking combinations that they can get. It's a lot more complex than what they would have saw in college. And they're doing a really nice job disengaging faster than when it first started. So they've gotten better every week. They're very deliberate in everything they've been doing, and we're obviously really excited about their trajectory.
On that last play, their last offensive play, are you thinking tendencies? Who Jalen Hurts likes to go to in that situation? What's going through your head on fourth down?
Well, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of recall, a lot of notes on that little sheet I have in my hand. And back in 23, we were set in the same situation, 2-by-2, little hook route to the tight end. Not saying that that's what we were thinking. It's just one of those recall moments. But they are who they were at that moment, and we had, you play your odds, you play your numbers, you play the down and distance, and luckily it worked out.
Last time you faced Seattle, you gave up 13 points. They ran the ball well and you didn't force any turnovers. When you look back at your game plan from that game, do you feel like I need to be more aggressive to force turnovers, or 13 points is 13 points?
No, we need to do better on third down, and which means we need to do better on first and second down in terms of limiting the leaky yardage that we allowed. It felt like after the first quarter we settled in and played the run game very well. There was a couple of plays early in the game. Obviously, the 3rd and 2 that went for 30 yards, the 3rd and 17 that inflated the numbers more than we would have liked. But overall, felt like we really settled in the last 3 quarters with regard to the run game. What we weren't very happy about was our third down performance, and that's where, in every game when you look at it, when offense is struggling on third down and defense is struggling on third down, you're going to end up in a situation where they're hogging the ball, and it's going to be hard to score. We were fortunate that we only gave up 13 points, and we're going to have to play a lot better to keep it that way.
Robert, on that note, what are the challenges or benefits of playing a team twice in such a short amount of time?
I'm not sure. There's not a lot of new information. Obviously, we're their last game, and so you take what you have. They've had 2 weeks to kind of self-scout and come up with new things, and so there's going to be some things that we have not seen and that they have not shown on tape. That's the benefit of having the number 1 seed. But at the same time, when it's a division opponent, you know them. The players know each other. They know how they feel. They know the blocking. There's just a familiarity. So it's always going to come down to a couple of plays that decide the game. So.
There's so much talk about culture in this organization when it comes to John talking about it and Kyle a little bit. I'm curious, did the culture here change at all while you were away, or did you come back to the same place?
Good question, man. Culture to me is always about the people. It's not the words; it's the people. And I think John and Kyle have done an outstanding job staying true to the people they want in this building. That goes from coaches, staff members. I mean, everybody, including players. And I think when you bring in the type of person you want, the culture will easily form itself. If that makes sense. And I think they've done a really nice job staying disciplined to that. And that locker room was filled with people built of the right character.
At the start of the season, I asked you what was your realistic expectation for a defense that was so young, that of course has only gotten younger. Are you surprised at all with how they've been able to play when you think of the tackle Marquis Siegel made on Saquon Barkley, or how Stout has been able to make an impact out there? Has it been surprising to you with the youth and how much they've been able to produce?
No. Coach Bradley says it all the time that the mother of learning is repetition, right? And So you trust that if they get enough reps, if they keep getting reps, and they're deliberate in their reps, and they're learning from their mistakes, you naturally are going to get better. Now, how fast they get better is you never know, but it's not surprising that a guy like Stout has improved throughout the year. He's banked, I don't know how many reps, but he's got all the practice reps, OTAs, training camp, practices, game reps, and he's been put in some really critical situations throughout the entire season. And he's getting more and more confident with what he's being asked to do. He's recognizing more and more what offenses are trying to do, and he's learning. And so naturally they're going to get better. And so it's exciting to see. We've done it before with young guys, and the whole league has always seen, like, the more young guys play, the faster they get. So it's exciting to see them, but it's not surprising.
A lot has been.
It seemed like your communication in this game was really good. Wallow and Kendricks, and then in between series, I saw you on the bench talking to the guys. Did you feel the need to, be more communicative between series because you do have a young group and the stakes are pretty high?
No. First off, Johnny, KJ, they just an outstanding job preparing those two, and credit to Wallow and Kendricks with how hard they've worked since they've got here to get brought up to speed. So an outstanding job in terms of preparation. And Kendricks is a veteran. And Wallow's a veteran. They have a natural feel for football, and thought they did a great job with communication. We had a lot of things this week to try to, from a schematic standpoint, and just we were making a lot of adjustments on the sideline, and those guys were able to absorb it. The guys were very, very. They were locked in, all three levels, and. They really made it an easy game to coach because of, they were completely locked in, so they made it easy. No, you're okay, bud. Go ahead.
In a week this tight, have you interviewed for any head coaching positions this
No,
week?
not yet.
Scheduled this week before. This is the week
They're
you do it.
for Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
A lot has been made about Fred's practice window opening. What interactions have you had with him, and what was the vibe when he stepped on the practice field yesterday?
Fred, just pure energy. Fred's the ultimate energy giver, and so just having him out there is awesome. And so yesterday was a little bit more tempo down, but today, obviously with higher tempo, it'll be fun to get him out there, see him running around.
After the game, Eric Kendricks gave KJ a lot of credit for working extra with him. Did you know that was happening behind the scenes, or did you see that extra work that they were putting in for that game?
Yeah, that's the assistant linebackers coach is responsible for anyone new in the building to just make sure they're getting caught up while the position coach is working with the guys who are getting ready to play. So KJ has put in a lot of hours with Eric and Wallow, for that matter, to get them up to speed, and when it was their time to step into the week, it goes to Johnny, and like I said, that's why both of them just outstanding job in preparation over the last month with those two.
He always talks about having to save Christian from himself sometime because of how much he loves the game. Is there any of that between you and Fred Warner?
Give that to me one more time.
Like, he has to save Christian from himself because of how much he loves the game and how much
Oh,
he'll for himself. Any of that between you and Fred?
No. Okay. Fred, I think it's different. Christian, obviously he's a high volume back. We're on defense, it's just different. You guys, go ahead, Grant.
Kendricks probably isn't the player he was a few years ago. At one time, he was one of the best linebackers in the league, and I would imagine his professionalism and his communication still carries over. How nice is it to have that caliber of pro on the field?
Oh, it is. I think it's a force multiplier, right? Like his communication creates a calm to all three levels of the defense, gets people lined up, and that's where communication can excel at its fastest and or be at its best. And I thought, like I said, he was outstanding with regards to all the checks. I'm not sure he could be much better. Hopefully, he can duplicate it this week. All right, guys. Thank you.
How we doing? All right. Morning. Kyle mentioned after the game that you were the one that kind of suggested the touchdown pass again through to McCaffrey. Can you just kind of take us through like why you thought that moment was the right time and how you guys had kind of set it up before that?
I mean, I suggest lots of plays, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I think we liked that play going into the game because of the coverages we were going to get. We thought it was a pretty safe call. Wasn't many things they would do that would make it a bad play as long as we executed it. And we had the timeout. We had the end of the quarter, so it kind of gave us some time to put some thought into what we wanted to do. And we're on the right hash, which is what we have to run that play on. And I just saw it on the call sheet, and I was like, this might be good. Suggested it, but that's kind of how it goes the whole game. Kind of suggest things, and some get called, some don't. Some work, some don't. But that one was a good play. The guys executed, so that's what mattered most.
Right before that, you had run the reverse to Sky. Was there anything that you saw, the way they reacted to that play, that you thought maybe we could come back to it right quick?
Just the coverages they played the whole game, we knew that was going to be set up, and that was nice to call the jet sweep to Sky just to show that we were going to give him the ball. And maybe it got those guys to play him a little more, but it was just really more based on the style of defense and the coverages we were attacking.
Early in the play, it seems like the safety picks up or at least notices Christian coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're up on high. Are you watching that and freaking out at that moment?
I mean, yeah, he was in a position where I thought he could play it, but clearly he kind of got caught in that no man's land, not knowing what was going on, which was good. But Juwan's coached up on that too. If that safety does take Christian, you either got to run or throw it away. So we had a plan B.
As a play caller, are you aware which of your weapons were quarterbacks in high school? Which guys are right-handed? Which guys are left-handed? Which guys can make those throws?
Yeah, you got to practice it that way. You can't put a guy in a position where he's got to really turn his body unnaturally. And if he doesn't work on it, for sure. So yeah, you got to be aware of. You got to be on the right hash to make that call. And there's other ones that are like that too, where you got to call it at the right time with the right person based on how they can throw. So yeah.
How many times would you say you've repped that play in practice? And did you rep it last week?
Not as many as you'd think. We've had it up a couple times this year. We always kind of rep it once or twice in the week, usually in a walkthrough. You don't usually devote a full speed rep to it because there's other things you got to get to. So it's just something we've repped, and guys were ready for it. So it's cool.
How did you grade Juwan's throw?
That was an A+. That was fantastic. Yeah.
An example of how your relationship and play calling has evolved with Kyle.
I just think over time, the more comfortable I get, the more comfortable he gets with me, the more I'm involved in game planning. I just think it just kind of naturally, I see the game as a play caller. As the game goes on, I'm looking at it through the eyes of I'm calling this game. And so whenever the time comes up to suggest something or I'm asked for a suggestion, I feel like I need to be ready. So I put myself through those scenarios. I put myself through that lens of I'm calling this game. So when Kyle needs help, I'm prepared to give him suggestions. I think Kyle's kind of gotten to a point where he knows that I'm thinking that way. And so we're kind of on the same page. And then it's all about the preparation through the week. We prepare together. We go through all the scenarios together. We talk about situations. Him and I are very much on the same page with those things. And, I just think it's just the time working together, the time on task, and the relationship to where we're in a spot where we can kind of, hopefully bounce ideas off each other and go from there.
He's mentioned that, when he's asked for plays, he's mentioned when he's asked for plays, people come in and he talks to them and he asks the why. And can you give us a little example of maybe some time that it didn't work out, where you didn't have the why?
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. That's just game planning. The why is what's our intent of the play? What are we trying to attack in the defense? What are we trying to who are we trying to get open? What who are we trying to get a double team on? Whatever it is, why are we running this? What's the intent? If they don't do that, do we have a good answer? Is the play safe to call? Is there a good check down for the quarterback? Is all those things go into play? And sometimes you come up with something and you sit down and think about the why and you go, never mind. Let's move on. Let's take that one off the list. That happens a lot, but that's part of the process, of going through the game plan. Yeah.
The preparation, given the challenges faced for the offense against the Seahawks just a couple weeks ago, how does it alter or help you guys to adjust the preparation of this week going to see them once again in such a short time span?
It doesn't change our process at all. We go through the same process. We watch the same film we watched 2 weeks ago. Sometimes you see new things. Sometimes you see things differently. You definitely look at the game that we played and see, okay, what do we have to do better? But there's just not much tape to watch, so you're limited. You've kind of watched it all, and it's just going to come down to executing. It's going to come down to our guys playing their best. We can do things a little bit different as coaches. We got to help them more. Definitely learn from the last game, but you just watch that tape and you put a plan together and you got to go play football. So yeah.
You have things left over from the game plan 2 weeks ago that you didn't use the first time?
Yeah, we do for sure.
Coach, what's the challenge when they keep the two safeties deep and they kind of almost challenge you guys to run the ball and you're struggling to run it? What's plan B at that point? Because that's what happened, it seemed like, in week 18.
You're saying when they're defending the run from the two shell? Yeah, I mean, that's why you got to run the ball versus that. That's why you got to try to get them out of that. When teams can defend the run in two shell, that's what they want, so that they can keep those safeties deep and be in the pass coverages they want to play. The thing that with these guys, they do a good job of playing their two shell, but then all their coverages complement that. They can kind of fit the run from their single high from those two shell looks. So it's a huge challenge, but the challenge is on us. We got to run the ball better. We got to be better on third down so we can get more ops to run the ball. That's really the biggest thing. Is we got to stay on the field so we can keep calling runs. Then hopefully you can get the defense to commit another guy in the box, which helps other things. So that's the plan. That's just football. We got to execute and stay on the field, and hopefully those runs will come.
They also stay in nickel pretty much all the time and still defend the run very well. How are they able to do that? What kind of challenges is it to see a defense doing that?
Yeah, that's their personnel. I mean, that's what they want to do, and they got the people to do it. And you look at 3, like he's this nickel body for them. But he's so big and long, and he has the ability to play the run at a very elite level, like a good linebacker can. But he's also really athletic and can cover, and he's really a jack of all trades for them. He allows them to do that. But that's their philosophy of defense. And you look at other teams we've played. Houston's very similar. They have a nickel who's just a dynamic run defender and a good coverage guy. And teams that can do that, it's hard. It's a big challenge. And so that's their personnel, and that's what they do. Yeah.
What jumped out at you how Brock directed the final drive in Philly, and how does that, I guess, reinforce him as a big game quarterback going into Seattle's atmosphere?
Yeah, I mean, can't say enough about Brock's, his poise and his competitiveness there at the end of the fourth quarter. I think Brock would tell you he didn't play his best game for the first 3 quarters of that game. He did a good job in some areas, but had some turnovers. But when it came down to the drives that mattered, the fourth quarter, the pressure of that moment, he was locked in. He didn't blink. That's kind of who he's been his whole career to me. He's had drives like that. He's had drives like that in the playoffs. When you go back to 23, and we're going to need it on Sunday. We're going to need it on Saturday. He did it in week 1. He's played good football in that environment, and that's what it's going to take to win. So,
did you or your brother text who first about the matchup?
There's been no texting this week. It's been no time. 6-day week again. We got to just get to work. So,
do you feel fortunate that you guys have the depth of quality veterans as far as Robinson, Brian Robinson, DeMarcus, Tonjes? You got guys that can step in this situation.
Yeah, it's been huge, and the guys have come a long way as the year's gone on too, from where they started in training camp and just the growth. And that's what you need to be a good team. You need depth. You need veteran depth. You need young depth too. But those guys who've been here, Jake's been here a few years, but those 2 guys you mentioned who came in camp and have just been working and learning the offense, and they're huge. They're just huge contributors for us right now. And so it's been it was definitely a big reason why we won last week. You saw D-Rob making those plays, so it's big. All right, thanks, guys.